Morning Sri Lanka. You're still with me, Anupama, and I'm with Dr. Uday Ranavaka and Grace Pereira still. We're talking about the journey. Why don't you tell us, before everything else that I have to ask you, why don't you tell us when is the journey going to be held and where?
Journey will be taking stage at the Bishop's Auditorium on next Sunday. That's 13th.
Yes, 13th October.
7 in the evening.
All right, at Bishop's College Auditorium. So all you people out there who are fans of retro music and Flame, please don't forget to be there. All right, so we were talking about how important the National Stroke Association of Sri Lanka, the role that they play in Sri Lanka, and the basics about what a stroke is and all that, with Dr. Uday Ranavaka. And now I'm going to move into a little bit of music with Renzi. Tell us about the genres of music or the kind of lineup that the audience can expect at the show.
Well, it'll begin with retro,
Okay.
which is where we began anyway, and it'll go through a little bit of pop, rock and roll. It'll essentially be somewhere in the retro to 70s, 80s. There'll be a little bit of modern music as well, some of the current stuff which we'll do for hopefully the younger people in the audience will also be catered for. It will have a little bit of everything, barring deep jazz and deep classics. I think there'll be a fair spread.
Okay, so everything that anybody would basically like to listen to.
Yes.
Nice.
But as I said, we're sort of, it's a bit retro in lineup, because I think a lot of those listenable tunes sometimes, and easily are very, are classics and stuff like that. So that's really where we score on, and we kind of concentrate on that. But there is a spread.
I'm curious to know, since you are obviously a retro musician, I'm curious to know who are the artists that you like personally.
Well, we really, as I said earlier when we were talking, I said that we were very lucky to be able to start performing the music we loved, and that was something that was huge, because at that time, and it was that we began with Simon and Garfunkel.
Okay.
The folk stuff, the Everly Brothers. We went to the Beatles, and because of the format that we had, which was just two voices and one guitar most of the time, you could do almost anything with that music. All you did was you could perform it any way you wanted. And you didn't need to, nobody expected you to be a clone of the record or the CD or whatever.
I think that's the best thing about those times. Everything was so real. Nothing was
so you just and you were kind of forced to do your own arrangement of songs. So really, that's where we began.
Okay.
And then we moved into more complicated harmony stuff. It has always been about the vocals. That has been our key. Let's say our emphasis has always been on the vocal part of the music, and the music and the musicianship, and the support was always support.
Okay. And how many members do you have currently?
Now 7. I'm a floating 8. Because I have
why do you call yourself a floating 8?
Because basically I have more or less retired, but I'm with Flame. I'm a founder member of Flame.
Obviously, yes.
And so what has happened is, over the years, I kind of took a back seat, because it's about time to retire, I think. So I felt I needed a break, but I'm really blessed, because it's a group that welcomes me at any time, so I can go and do a club scene with them, and I still keep in touch, and I can go and play with them.
And are you performing?
Yes, I will be performing.
That's super. It's amazing. So watch out for that, people. All right, the founder of the Flame will be performing for you. Not the Flame, it's Flame.
Flame.
Yes, sorry.
Doesn't matter.
Renzi was very insistent that I should cut off the. All right, so why is it important for somebody from the music industry to support a cause like this?
Because when you are a performer, whether you're at the top of a game or wherever you are in the thing, you are always in public. You are performing in public, and your audience is the public, and you have a. I'm going to deal first of all with the mechanics of the thing. What I mean by mechanics means is that this is the actual thing. You sit in front of an audience, and you have a captive 3,000 or 4,000 people at a show. So what you do and what you say and what you perform there is basically you're conveying a message.
Yes.
And so therefore I think performers are really blessed that way, that they can do so many things with that. They can sway people. You have a great power to sway people.
I know, yeah.
And while you don't exercise that in a bad way, the best part of it is that you can also you can tap into a cause.
Exactly.
And as I said, I don't want that to sound mercenary, because this tapping into a cause shouldn't be something that you feel you should do at some point of time in your life. That isn't true. It should be something very spontaneous that comes from your heart.
Obviously.
And that basically is where we come from.
Yeah.
So it's something that we wanted to do. I mean, we like the Stroke Association, the ideals and whatever they are trying to do. And we think that's really important. And like that, I'm sure there are a huge amount of things that need people to help them.
That's very impressive. I'm very honored to have both of you here, because what you represent is actually what should be done out there. We
can all do a little bit. I mean, if we just do what we can, we can't do everything.
We have to do what we can, the small thing that we can do.
We can't change the world, but we can at least do a little bit. And I think
we can put a start to it.
Yes.
We can change a part of the world at least. All right, so
the Stroke Association is privileged to have them as our partners in this venture.
I'm sure
they're playing free of charge.
Wow,
and,
that's amazing.
Yes, and we are really grateful to them for that.
Yes, that's amazing. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful honor to have you here. Dr. Uday, why don't you tell us how you met and how you actually got this cause merged?
So we were looking for some fundraising events to do, some opportunities to raise funds for the projects that we have in mind. And the main thing that we are thinking of right now is to establish a stroke center where we'll have a home of our own, so that we can coordinate all our activities from there, intensify the awareness campaigns, the training programs, but also to do something for the patients in that place. Is something which we are not doing, which we are not able to do right now because we do not have the infrastructure. But if we have a center of our own, a few things that we may be able to do is to offer them laboratory facilities and rehabilitation facilities and things like that, in addition to what we are already doing. So the stroke center is something that we have been thinking of for quite some time. So we are hoping that we'll be able to start generating funds to build that up. That's a sort of dream that we have. And at that time, when we were looking around for possible fundraising projects, so we came up with this idea of teaming up with them, and that's how we first met. I had not known Rienzi before, but that's how we first met, and I think from the time we sat down to have a chat, I think we hit it off.
Sparks flew.
No, it's sort of
probably a little too old for that.
No, what I meant was,
I know.
No, I didn't mean it in that way. No, what I meant was, when two people with the same passion or the same purpose get together, sparks fly. That happens to me. So
and it's easy because say like if you are in music, everybody has some musical, something they like. So Doctor has a lot of he identifies a lot with our music as well. So
I actually
he's been asking, as I said, he'd been asking before the recording of the show. I mean, before we came on the show, he was asking about the various music and when we're planning the show.
Right.
So there's a lot of I find a lot of there's a lot of, well, not synergy is a big word, but we
have
come
a lot
together
of things in common.
Yeah,
that's exactly what is needed in these kind of causes, I think.
And we have a lot in common because they are also passionate about doing something for a cause, for a worthy cause. And even the last year concert was in aid of what you did last year was in aid for the art project. And this year, and they have committed themselves to working with us for quite some time, which is great, which is amazing. And we are really grateful to them for that.
Of course, and I'm very grateful to have people like you in this country, honestly. Dr. Udaya, who is your favorite artist? Do you like certain genres of music?
John Denver, Simon and Garfunkel.
See?
Yeah.
So you obviously...
We are there, I told you that.
Alright, and anybody else? John Denver is one of my
John Denver, Simon and Garfunkel, Eagles, Eric Clapton.
Goldens.
Yes.
The golden oldies. Okay.
I'm old enough to like them.
everybody likes the golden old days. Even, I mean, I don't know about the new generation.
I'm sure most of them do.
Everybody walks in it. So we were talking about the very brief explanation of what a stroke is and all that. I have a very interesting question here. What is a TIA? Can you explain very briefly what a TIA is?
Say a TIA is what you call a transient ischemic attack. The letters TIA stand for transient ischemic attack. What it means, it's simply a mini stroke.
Okay.
Now we said that you get a stroke when there's a block in the blood vessel. Now what happens in the TIA is that that block will clear off spontaneously within a short time. So the symptoms that you have will all resolve within a few minutes or maybe a couple of hours.
Okay.
The problem is this is just a warning signal that you are likely, that you are at a much higher risk of getting a full-blown stroke within the immediate future, within a couple of weeks most likely. So you have to take it very seriously, just like a stroke.
Okay, so you were talking about warning.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us the symptoms that we should expect, doctor?
Yes, when you get a stroke, we said that stroke happens when there's a sudden change in the brain function due to a change in the blood supply. So your symptoms will depend on what area is damaged as a result of that.
Okay.
So the commonest thing that we see is weakness on one side, paralysis on one side, what you would call in Sinhala as angshabhage.
All right.
But you can also have numbness on one side. There can be a sudden change in vision, sudden change in speech. You might lose consciousness suddenly, and stroke can cause sudden death. You might just die suddenly from a stroke.
Okay, but wow, it's quite scary. Actually,
it is scary.
Yeah, because when you said the TIAs, you should not ignore the mini stroke. That quite sparked me up because most people, they might actually, without knowing what the actual reason is, they might just ignore it and say
yes, that's what happens most of the time.
Okay.
Say, unlike a heart attack, what happens where you get chest pain, you get crushing pain that sort of scares you when you rush to hospital.
Yes.
But problem with stroke is that you don't get any pain.
It suddenly happens.
So you have a little weakness and you have a little numbness. You will wait overnight and hope it will go away, and then probably think of going to a hospital after a couple of hours or maybe a day or so when things don't go away.
Oh wow.
And TIA, it is worse because the symptoms go away, you don't take any notice.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is it genetically?
Partly, but not to a large extent. But there are other factors that make you much more likely to have a stroke.
Okay.
What we call risk factors. They are called risk factors because they increase the chance that you would have a stroke. They make you more vulnerable to having a stroke. Some things are like age. If you're older than 65 years or if you are a male, you are more likely, but those are not things that you can do anything about.
Okay.
But we really are more interested in the ones that you can change. Some are medical conditions like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes. But perhaps the most important ones are the lifestyle factors, which you can easily change. Things
How
like
do you
smoking.
do that? I'm very interested to know that.
Yes, things like smoking,
walk,
lack of physical exercise, lack of physical activity, being obese, and having an unhealthy diet. Those are the 4 biggest risk factors in the world which can be easily modified.
Okay.